we could switch to Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which was a complete surprise. I was watching it during the Game Awards. Maybe go through our history of Sonic racers. That's another reason why it's so good to be a Sonic fan now. It was great in the 90s, but what type of Sonic fan are you now? There's so many genres that Sonic is in. The only thing that we need to get back is Sonic, was it Shuffle? Was a like Mario Party type clone. I never played that one. That's one I want to get for the.
What was it? Mr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine or whatever.
That was just a reskin of Puyo Puyo. That was like really limited. Yeah. But what's your history? Ray, do you want to go first? Your history with Sonic racers. Did you start with the hoverboards or Sonic R, or what's your what is your feeling towards this genre of Sonic games?
Yeah, so I think I definitely was familiar with the hoverboard, or sorry, the snowboard games. Yeah, so there were those, and then let me see, the Sonic All-Star Racing, and I think that's the one with like a lot of the Sega characters, right? Or first-party Sega characters. And then there was just the Sonic characters themselves, their own racing game. I forget what that one's called. That one came out on Switch, and I remember playing it. I just forget the name of it. I don't know, Max, if you remember.
So the ones that started with Sonic Racing, which had some Sega characters in it, Sonic All-Star Racing, maybe, and then they did Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed, which is I think is probably the most popular one. That was like PS3, 360, and Wii U era. Actually, the Wii U was the best because you could have one of the only games that took advantage of this on the Wii U. Someone on the gamepad could have a screen instead of having split screen on your TV. So me and my wife would play that. That's where we played it the most. One person would be looking at the TV, and one person would be playing on the gamepad. Which actually, Switch 2. I think we're basically just going to get exactly what you think for Switch 2. But I'm like, they could have made the box, the console, you link up your gamepad wirelessly instead of docking it, and then maybe had two, and then you have your screen, and then bring Wii U stuff back and Wii U ideas back. But I don't think that's going to happen. I doubt it. But that was the
weird.
Best. What?
Like we were talking about innovating for the next generation by copying something from the previous generation. Like,
well, I mean, they had great ideas there. It just wasn't ready yet. There was very few games that took advantage of that second screen. But come on, having inventory like for Zelda on a second screen instead of on the main screen is perfect. That was probably the best way to play some of these Zelda games was the Wii U. But that
Wii U,
Sonic Racing Transformed was the most popular. And then they did the one you were talking about, Ray, I think they went back to just Sonic, which was a fun game. But to be honest, I was like, I miss all the other Sega characters. I miss Shenmue characters and Samba de Amigo characters. I miss all that.
I think my personal issue with the all Sonic character version of the race, their own racing game was so they drive realistic sort of like sports car shaped vehicles. So like they're not like karts like in Mario Kart. Mm-hmm. So the reason I bring that up is because I felt like maneuvering them was just like so clunky for me personally, because I'm so used to the mechanics of a kart racer, like in Crash Team Racing or Mario Kart, for example. So the longer sort of like vehicle body, like I found like maybe in like my first couple playthroughs, I didn't give it like that big of a time, dedication, but yeah, drifting and just sort of like vehicle control in general, it didn't feel as seamless. I think because the vehicle was like 3 times bigger than the character who was like operating it. So it kind of threw me off sometimes. And also some of like the some of the, I guess, like boost mechanics and weapons that were available, or like yeah, things like that, or traps or like obstacles that you could leave on the road. Something about it just didn't feel as like satisfying. And
I understand.
I'll even give a shout out to Disney Speedstorm. Disney Speedstorm is up there for sure with Crash Team Racing, and I think they're both superior to Mario Kart. So definitely more superior than the Sonic Racing game I'm referring to.
Okay. I understand that feeling. I think the more time you spend with it, you get used to it. But I understand the wanting to be more kart like instead of car like, and kart, something about kart racers is really fun. Cyrus, go ahead.
Sorry. One more thing I wanted to add. So like the realistic car games or racing games, like what was it, like the more like not arcadey, but more just like maybe not Forza, maybe like older than that. I'm like blanking on like names of older race car games where like they were more
Project
like
Gotham Racing or something like that, or
what are some other old racing game IPs where you're like driving a realistic car and you're on like a realistic map?
Need for Speed, Gran Turismo.
Yeah. Okay. So
Sega
things like
Rally's
that.
kinda...
Yes. Yeah. Sega Rally. Okay. So
Sega
like
Rally? Okay.
that's what I'm referring to. And then like maybe even Need for Speed. So like I think my issue with the most recent Sonic racing game was because they had these realistic mechanic vehicles on a map that felt like it was designed for a kart racer. If that makes sense. So like, yeah, with games like Sega Rally and Need for Speed and Forza and stuff, they're on like a real map that or like, you know, track that was
wide lanes.
Yeah, that was like designed for vehicles like that. So in my opinion, the Sonic racing game, that's kind of where I have the most jarring sort of blocker as far as like being able to be fully immersed in it, because all the other reasons I mentioned, as well as like, you know, kind of like this disparity between like, you know, the vehicle and the track that it's on.
Okay. I can understand that. Cyrus, what's your history with that part of Sonic games, the racers, starting with Sonic R? Do you love Sonic R?
Well, let me go back even further. I just sent you something in the private chat.
Back
this
even
was
further. Wait a second.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is.
It goes back further.
Sonic R has like the most
that's
amazing
right.
soundtrack.
I forgot about this. Oh, you had to show me up, you Sonic nerd. No, I was kidding. he wouldn't even. Oh yes, okay. Don't revoke my Sonic card, Sonic fan card. But yeah, Cyrus had to show me up. Oh, you're forgetting Sonic Drift, Max. Yeah, Sonic Drift.
I had a Game Gear, man, and I was all about the Game Gear. And Sonic Drift was the first Sonic racing game. You know, I mean,
that's true. I forgot. Yes,
it looks great.
It's pretty good. It's 8-bit. Shut up.
I didn't think it was great. I mean, you know what, I like it for what it was.
I mean, it looks great.
For a Game Gear racing game, it was pretty good. Okay,
right.
for 1991 or whenever it was out. I mean, it's okay. You know?
So this is good for all you Sonic racing fans that think, well, maybe Sonic should be out of the car. He actually started in the car in his racing games. And then to answer the question, why does Sonic even need to be in a car? Because I get that all the time. He likes competition and he needs to make it.
That's actually a good point. Like, why is he in a car? He can run faster than the car.
I have the perfect answer, Cyrus, and people watching this video is he needs to make make it level playing field for the competition. If he was outside the car, he would win every time. You know, he's got to give other people a shot.
Another thing
go ahead.
Sorry. One other thing I wanted to point out was like it's more of a competition of driving skills, not so much like who's the faster person in general. I don't know. That's just something that came to mind.
It's a good point.
Yeah. So
and I was going to say it might be raining. It might be really hot. You know, he might not want to be outside. You know, like there might be, you know, bees. You know, there could be bees. You know, or mosquitoes.
Well, one of his moves in the first Sonic All-Star Racing is he gets out of the cart once he gets all the gems and just starts flying through the track. But I think he's making a level playing field for the rest of the racers, because this would just be no competition if he was just running.
I see.
But do you want to even see another attempt at Sonic R that wasn't even that good, or it doesn't?
No,
make
I would love
sense?
to see it. I would love to see a new Sonic R that like had good controls and good, decent camera movement with really good music, like Sonic R has. Sonic R has really good music. It can be a fun game, but it is difficult to control what you're doing, and that's the biggest problem. It's not the graphics are bad or the tracks are bad. It's just that you can't really control what you're doing. If they could fix that one thing, dude, are you telling me you wouldn't want another one of those?
No,
Like,
I want as much Sonic as I could get. I honestly, if you asked me, would you want Sonic Racing Crossworlds or you want an updated Sonic R? I would go with Crossworlds. I'd want him in the car ahead of the because an actual Sonic platform is almost like a racing game too. If you really think about it, he's racing through the levels. You kind of get some of that already. Maybe just like a Sonic. You know what I think they should do is just include it in the next Sonic 3D game. Have a mode, include that instead of a separate game. That's what I would do.
or in the racing game, your car gets destroyed and then you have to run. I don't know.
That's great.
There's probably
I would love for them
several
to have.
ways.
I would love for them to have like different vehicles. I think it's implied that because Shadow was kind of the figurehead of Crossworlds, at least in the ad, in the reveal. We might see his motorcycle. We're obviously going to see him on his motorcycle in the movie, and then I hope that opens the door to like other vehicles too. Like I know Eggman has like his own special vehicles that he kind of like flies around in that are like egg shaped, and then I think and then in what is it? I'm drawing a blank. Sonic and Tails also have like a little like airplane, that they have. So like, there's other like iconic vehicles I think that they could bring back. And I'm wondering too what Crossworlds means as far as like, are they going to bring back like legacy characters? I think they're going to bring in like some of the comic book characters. I would love to see that.
Well, let's keep with you, Rhea. What do you want it to be? What do you think it? Before I tell you, what do you want Crossworlds to mean?
Whoa, wait a minute.
No. I'm going to get like Rhea first because you were starting to say that already. You want more character. What do you? The only clue in the title is Crossworlds. So based on where all the Sonic racing games with the cars and what we've had before, what do you want Sonic Worlds to be?
Yeah, so multiple vehicles and so like airplanes, maybe even like how Diddy Kong Racing had like the little tube carts that you could like go on water levels with and snow levels.
Hovercrafts,
yeah, hovercrafts too, and definitely like carts too, like regular carts. Let me see what else. Just even if it's like boats, like I don't know, it's just like so many different vehicles that they could like choose from that I would like to see. But outside of just like choices of vehicles, then like definitely introducing or formally introducing into like the video game world some of the legacy comic book characters and maybe some of the legacy like animated characters as well, like what is it, Sally Acorn? Like I would love to like see her formally introduced. I think that's her name, right? Or
I don't know who you're talking about, but that sounds cool. I missed some. I don't know.
From one of the earlier Sonic cartoons, there was like a whole like slew of characters that were introduced that we haven't really seen outside of like the comic books. So
sure. I missed that one.
Rhea knows this stuff, man. I mean, she's showing us both up over here.
Well, you had to pull out Sonic Drift.
Hey.
Thank you, Rhea. What do you want Crossworlds to be? Cyrus, who's out of the loop with video game, like he's like, I don't know. We're talking about Virtual Fighter. What is this? Virtual Fighter 5? What do you want Crossworlds to be based on your?
I don't know what to think about that. Like Crossworlds.
Did you play the last one that was just Sonic?
I
think it was just Sonic Racing.
I think so. I played 2. Maybe I didn't play the very last one, but I know I played a couple of them. I know I played Transformed, obviously. And then I played the next one. There was 2 other ones that I played. So I played 3. I don't know what the new one. There's a new one I think that I haven't played. I say new. To me, new is like the last couple years. I don't know, but
well, what do you want Crossworlds to be, and is there anything that you're guessing from the title?
I'm guessing it's going to be like going between different worlds. Like there'll be like the Sonic worlds, and then like it'll be like the worlds from different Sega stuff. It could be like the Golden Axe place and the Streets of Rage place, and maybe I'm going too far back, but like
No.
Yakuza and different stuff like that. So I'm thinking they're going to try to mix and mash like a bunch of different things, a bunch of different IPs. I'm going to say this. I actually would not be shocked if Mario shows up, because Sega has done a lot of crossover stuff with Nintendo.
Whoa, mind blown. You just blew my mind. What if we get like a Capcom SNK level crossover with Sonic Racing and Mario Kart, and then that could be one of the Switch reveals as the Nintendo version?
I think that might be a little too ambitious for what could happen here, but I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, Sega was the ones who developed F-Zero GX.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Nintendo IP that makes its way into this. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because
I think it's going to be pretty
cool. The long rumor about actually the next Mario Kart was it was going to be Crossroads. So
that would be interesting.
There is a working relationship with Sega and Nintendo. They have worked on Nintendo Racers. Mario Kart was already dabbling in bringing other Nintendo IP in the last Mario Kart 8 at the end with the DLC. And they have a better working relationship now than they did when Mario Kart 8 was first introduced.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
viewers, I want it now. You spoke, you gave, it's a reach that this would actually happen, Cyrus. But
yes,
I really want Sonic and Mario to interact in a kart racing game, and that would be freaking amazing. He was already in Smash Brothers.
It is possible that it could happen, because Sega has put Sonic into a bunch of Mario stuff, and it is very possible.
Or at the very least, they might do what the fighting game community or the fighting game developers do, and do like guest characters, like have Mario be like paid DLC, and then have Sonic paid DLC in the next Mario Kart, and maybe like
they could do. You remember how SNK and Capcom did the Marvel, or was it SNK versus Capcom, and then they had Capcom versus SNK? Like, wouldn't that be? I mean, this is not going to happen, but like the next Mario Kart has Sega stuff, and the next Sega racer has Mario stuff. Like they have it's literally cross worlds.
Hey, think about this one. What if they tried to do a Sega multiverse, kind of like how DC is doing, like, oh, Looney Tunes meets like, DC meets like, Game of Thrones meets all their Sopranos, like, they're doing like a bunch of like weird stuff over there because of like, WB owning all those IPs. But like with Sega, it would actually make more sense because they already have kind of like a history of showing all their legacy character, or a lot of like their major legacy characters in All-Stars transformed, but with the added mechanics of a lot of like, the quality of life features that y'all are talking about, and maybe even some Nintendo crossover. But I think more likely, now that I think about it, is like what if we see kind of like the All-Stars concept again, but with even more Sega characters.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I completely am hoping now for the actual reveal of the Switch 2 that you get this Sonic Racing Crossworlds version with something interesting for the Switch 2. I'm really hoping now. Now I do think we may be past the era where they have whole dedicated games to crossovers, but DLC just seems to be the way to go. You have to only do a character or two. You get really good profits from that. I love the guest character stuff in video games. I think it helps the industry. But now I'm going to actually tell you what I found about Crossworlds. Okay, so I do think that Crossworlds is a big clue. I think that is taking it back a little bit to the height of the Sonic Racing was the Transformed, where they had different worlds within Sega. I like you, Cyrus, and Urea idea about expanding the world's part even beyond Sega, maybe even, and getting, having a lot of fun there. I really hope they live up to the title of the name. But from what you were saying, Rhea, about potentially different vehicles, it does seem, at least from what I've done research, because I really wanted to find out what this is. It does seem like they are at least bringing back the transformed part. Now, I also would really love to just get separate vehicles, but it looks like this is from. All right, let me read this here. The name of the site is blocked where I'm looking for it, because I'm the program I'm using. One of the fairly surprising new announcements for this week's The Game Awards was the announcement of Sega to say that enjoyable Sonic Racing franchise is making return with Sonic Racing Crossroads. What we all received was a teaser video with no specific release date or window. More information has emerged about the upcoming project. The metadata from the Sega Asia website has revealed that Sonic Racing Crossroads will allow players to race across land, sea, air, space, and time. So maybe this isn't necessarily like transformed. There's definitely something there, though. So it looks like those wacky transformations are coming back. Drift across dimensions, race across land, sea, air, space, and time in Sonic Racing Crossroads.
So we're gonna do like Sonic CD style time warps, maybe, or something like that.
Shout out to Retro Bro John. Sonic CD is awesome. Yes. So what do you think? This is as much info as we could get. I honestly think it's very limited too, because I think they're waiting for the Nintendo Switch reveal to give more. I think this is a launch game for the Switch 2. Like they're saying there's not a release date window. I think, especially if you're thinking about Sonic Racers, one of the most profitable and liked Sonic games was Transformed, and that was a launch for the Wii U game. That was probably one of the best selling Wii U games besides Nintendo's own, I think this is a launch Switch 2 game. But what do you think about this little details we got? Cyrus, Rhea, what do you think about that? Land, sea, air, space, and time.
It sounds like Transformed with like taking it to the next level. It's another Sega.
So you hope it's more advanced than Transformed then. Well, it says,
yeah, I think that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
space and time.
Space and time. Yeah, like cross worlds. Are we going to see like multiverse, like weird, like mix up worlds where things from different Sonic or Sega franchises are mixed together and weird combinations and stuff like that?
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Cool. Maybe we'll even get to an ugly Sonic world. Like they've released the sweater. I've told people about this. It's over now, but hopefully I get my ugly Sonic sweater so I could give it to Rhea. But I want ugly Sonic as a racer for sure. Is that too much? Should they do that? Should they make ugly Sonic a racer in the next Sonic racing game?
I don't know.
I think it makes sense. I think so, because we have fake Crash.
Yes.
Yeah, based off
true.
of like that defect or plushie that came out back in the day, and it was kind of like an early meme. So they ended up making it like a literal character or playable character in the racers. So I think that they could do ugly Sonic.
Mm-hmm. Rhea, what do you get? There's little here, but what does that match what you were thinking about? I drift across dimensions. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I was kind of alluding to different like terrain for sure, because of the different vehicles that I wanted to see. And then as far as like across time, I was mentioning that there are like so many other like extended universe Sonic characters from different media that we could see. Like, I don't know if y'all remember Sonic Underground, but apparently he has two siblings. Okay. So I would love to see them pop up, and like all the other Sonic animated series that had like characters introduced specifically in that, but we didn't really get to see them again. So
Okay. Well, I'm sorry I don't have more for you viewers, but this is the little things I could scour the internet for so far, and I do feel it's because it's going to be a Switch 2 launch game. I think this is your first look at honestly, I want this on the Switch 2. This is a must buy. It's going to be on the Switch 2, regardless if there's exclusive stuff or not. So I could take it with me.
Well, the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible with Switch also. So even if it's only on the regular Switch, it would still be on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. So I think that's wrapping up the Sonic racing part of this. Maybe let's talk about Virtual Fighter.